The older I get, the more I seem to learn how shockingly often conventional wisdom is wrong. It seems like every successful person got successful by swimming against the current, taking the road less traveled, breaking away from convention. I was lied to. I got bad advice, and me and my garden suffered the consequences. Today, I'm going to share those lies with you, and hopefully you can learn from my naivete.
If you're new to the channel, please subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and check out my Amazon store and Spreadshop links in the video description for everything I use in my garden and awesome custom apparel and gear.
I've been gardening for a long time, honestly since before I can remember. There are literally baby pictures of me in the garden, pulling weeds, planting seeds, and watering plants. I got my first job working on a farm when I was 11 years old. I was indoctrinated early into gardening culture, and still, I couldn't figure this stuff out for myself. If I didn't know this stuff, what chance does the average person have? Lie number one, they told me that gardening was a season. Gardening season. Well, as a young gardener, in my 20s, I bought into gardening season, and I followed the conventional wisdom for planting my crops out in early spring. I watched them grow, got my first harvest at some point in May or June, and then the really big harvest would come in midsummer. Things would slow down into fall, then the frost came, it would kill my plants, and I would pack up my garden for the winter. Then I would repeat the process again next year. What a lousy way to garden. The best way to grow food is not to plant one massive crop, then have everything come in all at once so we can't handle all the harvests, then have absolutely nothing mere weeks later. The best way is to stagger smaller plantings so we have continuous manageable harvests for as long as possible. This process is called succession planting. Not only is this less work at any given time, but it produces more food over a longer period, maximizing your potential growing season, minimizing waste, and it's less maintenance this way. This is such a better way to grow food, yet almost everyone does it the other way, where they mass plant everything at once. I used to plant all of my tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and squash plants out in my garden in April in one giant mass planting event. But that leads to poor results. First, you wind up wasting much of your harvest because all of the plants produce their food at the same time, and you get such a giant deluge of food that you wind up giving half of it away, or you let part of it rot on the ground. Then, because most annual vegetables have short lifespans and they can't survive healthily all summer long, the progressive and persistent heat, diseases, and insects are just too much for the plants. Everything gets attacked by bugs and diseases. You get frustrated because you can't keep up, and your garden falls into disarray. You go from so much food you don't know what to do with it all to none in the blink of an eye. Now, I avoid that problem by planting everything in waves. I do 2 plantings of tomatoes. The main tomato crop goes out in my garden around April 1st, but then a second smaller crop of determinate tomatoes go out in late July. Cucumbers and zucchini, well, they are even more extreme. I plant a new crop of them every 4 to 6 weeks. By year's end, I've planted anywhere from 4 to 5 waves of cucumber and zucchini over a summer because they germinate quickly, they produce quickly, and they get killed by pests and diseases quickly. There's just no use trying to keep your original plants alive all season. These raised garden beds here are where my original crops of tomatoes, cucumbers, and zucchini were. Most of them are long dead, aside from a small handful of tomato crops that I was still able to keep alive all summer that are doing okay. But now I have a whole new bed of fall tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and zucchini coming along, looking beautiful. Look at those zucchini plants back there. Don't they look incredible? Everything is perfect, green, disease-free. Look at that, I'm starting to get some tomato flowers back there. But I have more plants that are in their peak production scattered all about the yard. For example, here are some small melons, and look, cucumbers looking beautiful. These staggered plantings are hidden all over my yard in different levels and stages of development. This strategy isn't just limited to warm crops. I do the same thing with my cool crops. I plant waves of broccoli, cabbage, and peas in late summer for a fall harvest and in late winter for a spring harvest. I sow small rows of lettuce, carrots, radishes, and beets continuously from August all the way until March every few weeks. I grow 2 different rounds of onions for a winter harvest and a summer harvest, and I grow spring potatoes and fall potatoes. This all allows me to heavily drag out my growing season because I'm not relying on tired old plants for food. There are always younger, tougher plants in peak production somewhere in my yard and garden. I waste less food because not everything matures at once, and I can manage the harvests. And it's a lot less work this way because I don't have to constantly manage everything all at once. It is all so much easier. Why didn't anyone tell me this in the beginning? Hopefully I can share this better way of growing food with you. Lie number 2 that they told me was that gardening was for older people. It's an old folks hobby. It's something you do in retirement when you have time. Young people, well, they are just too busy. They have jobs to go to, families to raise, money to make. Just outsource your safety and security to someone else. What could go wrong? A truly tragic consequence of modern society is we seem to have lost our connection to where food comes from and how natural systems work. And that's ironic because modern society only exists for one reason. We no longer spend significant amounts of time trying to stay alive. For most of human existence, almost all of our time and energy was spent trying to find food, water, and shelter. By the time we found enough of those things for that day, the day was over and we had to do all of those things all over again the next day. There was simply no time left in the day to build society. It wasn't until we discovered agriculture that we actually had enough time to settle down. Picture this. For most of humanity, we were hunter-gatherers. We were roving tribes that made temporary settlements as we chased the migratory patterns of animals to hunt and the seasonal patterns of fruiting plants, roots, and tubers that we could actually harvest. We moved with the food, and that meant possessions were not advantageous to us aside from a weapon to protect us and clothing to keep us warm. Owning stuff did nothing but slow us down. But then something happened. Somebody figured out that when you planted a seed, it grew a plant that we could eat. And then that same plant would produce more seed that could be planted to grow even more plants that we could eat. For the first time, we had a renewable source of stationary food. When that happened, we did something we had never done before. We built permanent camps around a renewable stationary food source. We called those permanent camps cities. So for the first time, people had their own permanent place to call their home, and when they suddenly had their own personal space, they had places to put stuff. People actually wanted to own things and have possessions. Suddenly, there was an economy because we all had a stable, stationary food source, and we didn't have to spend all day hunting and gathering anymore and just trying to stay alive. We finally had free time to think. And what did we think about? Inventions. We wanted to develop new, cool, and shiny objects that we could trade back and forth with each other. Invention, possession, trade, business. All of these things exist because someone figured out that planting a seed made food. All of modern society today exists because the things we need to survive have been outsourced. So we now have the free time to do other things that are not required for our survival. Imagine walking into a grocery store and all of the shelves are empty. Some of us got a real taste of that in 2021. How did that make you feel? Not very good, right? We aren't used to thinking about our basic survival anymore. And this is why learning where food comes from is so important. It not only gives you a deep respect for the people that grow our food for us, but it also gives us an understanding at how fragile the food system is. If the food system breaks down, all of society will collapse. That system must be preserved and protected at all costs. When you garden, you instinctively know this, and reserving this knowledge simply for older generations is, in my opinion, a disservice to society. People need to learn this from the earliest age possible, so we are all instinctively aware of this from day one. That way, we will be more than likely to make smarter decisions that protect our food, and we will be less likely to be fearful in the face of a crisis or an inevitable problem. And lie number 3 is probably the biggest one of all, and that is that gardening grows plants. Gardening grows people. The plants that grow are a side effect of the personal growth. Gardening teaches us all that life is precious, from the tallest tree to the tiniest bacteria, because everything is connected. Without the bacteria breaking down the organic matter in the soil, there will be no nutrients for the big, tall trees to grow. We are all part of a massive machine, more complex than any of us can wrap our minds around. When we do our part, the machine runs smoothly, but when we don't, things break down. Sometimes I look around me and just marvel at this little garden that I've built in total awe. Thousands of plants all around me exist because I decided to plant some seeds and then tend to the garden. That is magic. Yes, I understand that magic is technically just misunderstood technology, but also it's like magic, you know? You plant a seed and then poof, something appears out of thin air where there was nothing, and then it grows bigger by absorbing light. Like, what is that? When you actually think about it, it is mind-bending. It is an actual miracle. Gardening is magical. Not experiencing this is just such a missed opportunity, and I want everyone to experience this, and we all can do it. I believe this especially holds true for the younger generations. At this point, I am fairly convinced that the more time we spend indoors with technology, the less happy and healthy we are. Yes, I understand the irony, since without advanced technology and the internet, this video you're watching right now wouldn't exist. Technology is good. Technology can be healthy. When used as a platform for sharing beneficial information, learning, and making positive connections with people all over the world, technology is absolutely wonderful. That is why I love the YouTube gardening community so much. The positivity, the kindness, and the support is truly amazing. But at some point, you have to go outside. You have to touch grass. You have to put your hands in the dirt and get them dirty. You have to actually do this gardening thing. So please, if you haven't started a garden, start one, no matter how small. Start it on your patio. Start it on your windowsill. Just start. If you already have a garden like me, get someone else involved. Get your kids or grandkids involved. If you're a younger person, get your parents or grandparents involved. If you don't have family nearby, tell your neighbors, tell your coworkers, tell your friends. Spread the good word. If we all had the same connection to living things that gardeners have, I think the world would be a friendlier and kinder place. I could be wrong, but I don't think I am. What do you think? I know this video was a little bit different than usual, a little bit more philosophical, but I hope it didn't come across as preachy. That is not my intent. All I really intended with this video was to provide some motivation, some positivity, and hopefully some good vibes and throw them out there into the world. I hope I genuinely did accomplish that. With the year winding down and the sunsets getting a little bit earlier, I mean, it's 7:20 p.m. and it's already almost dark, I've just been in a more reflective and contemplative mood. I think I often get that way this time of year with it coming to an end, but I'm guessing a lot of people also feel the same way this time of year. So I wanted to give you all my thoughts. Hopefully you did enjoy this video and you took something positive away from it. If you did, let me know down in the comments below, and if you'd like more videos like these, or if you just want me to stick to the technical stuff. So everybody, I genuinely hope you did enjoy this video. If you did, please make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and please ring the notification bell so you're notified when I release more videos like these. And please drop a comment down below. Tell me what your thoughts are. I would love to hear from you. If you're curious about any of the products that I use in real life in my yard and garden, everything I use is linked down in the video description in my Amazon storefront link. So expand the video description, click on the Amazon storefront link, and you'll see everything I use in real life. And while you're down there, please consider checking out my spread shop for custom merchandise if you'd like to support my channel. I just released a whole bunch of new homemade designs you may want to see. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope to see all of you again on the next video.
Where, oh where has my puppy dog gone? Oh, here he is. Dale has been depressed all day because Mommy left for a work trip at 4 a.m. He saw the suitcase out last night, and he's been giving us the cold shoulder. He didn't come wake me up in the morning or anything. He's just sitting here all depressed. Buddy, are you about ready to go outside? You have to go potty? No reaction? No, he's just sitting here and staring out the darn window. That's all he wants to do. Come on, buddy, it's lunchtime. Are you thirsty? Do you want to go outside? Do you want to play? No, he just wants to be alone with his feelings. That's all right. We get like that when Mommy leaves.